Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Netters Network Thursday Things. Tonight we have a very special guest and her co-host, and they'll be joining us shortly. Before we get started, let me introduce you, my favorite co-host. You know him as that guy at the end of the bar, Carton the Klingon Cleric, and the love of my life, Troy Pacelli. How you doing tonight, sweetie? And what are you sipping on?
I'm doing great. You said your favorite co-host was going to be here. I said, "Oh, I didn't know Big Al was going to be on tonight." He's in the chat though.
He's my teddy bear co-host.
He's your teddy bear. There you go. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. And I'm drinking just a flavored water, Crystal Light.
I am on one of my last signature selects mixed berry seltzer waters.
We're going to have to go shopping this weekend. We're out of everything.
Yeah, it's like the cupboard is bare. We haven't shopped in about 3 weeks, so we definitely need to go shopping.
Well, and I wait way too long to check for the recipes for my drink for the night, for tomorrow night. Because, like, there's a Fireball Boilermaker that I wanted to make with Guinness. We don't have any Guinness.
We can always pop out after work tomorrow.
I know, but then we don't have time to get the drink cold. You know, I only got a couple hours before the...
Yes, we do.
Well, anyway.
We will have time. If necessary, I can make...
I mean, if we're going to do that, then I want to figure I'll get, like, a real lemon instead of trying to use lemon juice, because that's not really the same.
We can do that. Make a list.
I will.
Now let me bring in our special guest for tonight, SciFi Mombie and co-host Vic. How you guys doing tonight?
What's up, party people? We're good. We're good.
And what are you all sipping on tonight?
Diet Coke, and you're sipping on, what are those called from Aldi's? The seltzer waters?
I don't know.
Something V?
Oh, you have seltzer water too?
He loves it.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah, I've got the mixed berry seltzer water. It comes in a can. And, you know, it's signature select. So it's the store brand for, I think it's Jewel. So it's like uber cheap.
And I'm the only kind of geek that would ask this, bother to ask this. Diet Coke or Coke Zero?
No. Diet Coke.
Okay. Yeah, it's what you get used to. It's really hard to change once you get used to something. And, sorry, go ahead.
What's sad is that they don't make cherry Diet Coke anymore. So if I want one, I either have to go to a freestyle machine or I have to switch over to a cherry Coke Zero, which I'm okay with that every once in a while.
Let me tell you something. I'm right there with you because I used to drink regular diet cherry Coke for a long time. But the best is if you got to do the Coke Zero, you do the Coke Zero, Diet Coke, whatever. Cracovia cherry syrup. It's the best. It is absolutely the best. If you can find it.
We got ours at Meijer.
Yeah. Okay. I wonder if Hy-Vee, we have Hy-Vee, Walmart, and Price Cutters here. So I wonder, that sounds like a Hy-Vee thing.
Maybe. Yeah, it's like, I looked it up online just to see which stores carried it and discovered that Meijer had it. So we went there and at that time we bought something like 4 bottles just so we would have it.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Cheap, you know.
Yeah. But I've been watching Greg over on How to Drink quite a bit, and he had a whole video about making your own syrups. You know, starting with how to make simple syrup, how to make, you know, different flavored syrups. I made a bunch of strawberry syrup, like using real strawberries, real sugar. Used way too much sugar. I miscalculated. I didn't do my maths right, but it tastes wonderful. It really is good. Made some real grenadine using what is that? What are those berries you do for Thanksgiving?
Cranberries.
Cranberries?
Cranberries and what was the other thing? Another fruit. I don't remember, but it turned out really good. But again, I overdid the sugar and I ended up with way more syrup than I expected. So
he had something like
I actually
big
ended up
jars
having to
full.
throw it out because I didn't have enough jars to put it in.
I was going to say sugar high.
Well, I don't use any more than I ordinarily. That's the thing. When you have some, a syrup that's mostly sugar, that stuff is shelf stable. That's not going to go bad. That's not going anywhere. The problem is, what am I going to do with all of this? I never have to make grenadine ever again. But that's there's
awesome.
worse problems to have, right?
Well, before we get
Mm-hmm.
into anything, let us say hello to the chat. First up, of course, is Connie Cleary saying hello to everyone, also known as the Bird Woman of YouTube. We got that last call guy.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I need this one.
Yeah.
Last call guy saying hello to me. We have Big Al Presents.
I would say it's all about you, but of course it's all about you. It's yours channel.
Yeah. We have Inspiration TV. Hi, PJ.
PJ.
Let's see.
He only comes out for Sci-Fi Mombie, apparently. I'm kidding.
We have the beautiful lady Myst dropping her hearts and flowers for me.
PJ, I'm missing Latchcomb.
Let's see. Lester San Jose, the Skeptic Tank, saying howdy. And I saw other names in here.
Did you get Evelyn?
Deleted scenes. I haven't gotten down that far yet.
Oh, okay.
I just got to deleted scenes.
Okay, all right.
And of course, our guest,
Sci-Fi of course. Hi.
Hi. The Vagrancy Horror. How you doing, sweetie? It's like I don't want my chat to jump because that happens, so I'm trying to go really slow. Evelyn Hampton, how you doing,
There
Admiral?
you go.
Jesse Guajardo, how are you, sweetie?
No worries. We actually got started a little bit late. That's fine.
Yeah, you haven't missed anything. We're just pretty much saying hello and
going through
saying what drinks we have. So let's see. We've got Troy drinking flavored water.
Yep.
I'm drinking seltzer water. Co-host Vic is also drinking seltzer water, and Sci-Fi Mombie is drinking Diet Coke.
There you go.
We're all caught up on our drinks.
All caught up.
Mm-hmm.
So, you were saying around by you, whereabouts are you without being so specific that you dox yourself?
Brad Pitt.
What's that?
She said
Brad
Pitt. I don't know what
Pitt.
that means.
Brad Pitt.
Uh-huh.
I don't know where Brad Pitt is. I don't know nothing
He's our
about
hometown boy, Brad Pitt.
I would think he was a Southerner, but you're not a Southerner.
I can be.
He's from
Shawnee,
Oklahoma.
Nope.
No, he's not. Well, that's where he was born.
That's where he was born. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They moved to my town when he was a kid.
Wow, you know a lot about him.
Unfortunately,
no. What if we say our state slogan? Do you think that would give it away?
It might, though.
Springfield,
you want to say it?
What?
Yeah. We're not afraid to tell people where we're from.
Well, it's like, we're Illinois. Everyone knows we're Illinois.
Okay.
And no one has ever heard of our tiny little suburb, so we just say, we're from Chicago.
Basically Chicago, yeah.
We're a suburb
You're
of
our
Chicago.
neighbors.
Chicagoland area. Yeah, pretty much.
Because it's like, people
like
know Chicago.
Northeast.
Yeah, they don't know suburbs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we live in a tiny little suburb. It's like you could pretty much throw a rock from end to end.
They live in Aurora near Wayne and Garth. Just kidding.
Oh my gosh. We talk about that all the time. When they did that movie, Wayne's World, and they're doing that driving through and they show the cars on the nail and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, man, that's literally like my old stomping grounds. I knew exactly where all that was. Yep. None of that's there anymore.
Yeah, they turned out all those iconic things.
Well, when they first did all that, actually the cars on the nail were actually the cool one. There was also this other big, like, giant triangle of trash, and it had like window fans stuck in it that would spin when the wind hit it right. And it was just an ugly eyesore. I'm like, what the heck is that? Everybody complained about it. They thought it was the stupidest thing. But then, when the cars were shown in Wayne's World, it was like, okay, well, the cars are cool. And in fact, when they started taking all those, I guess you'd call them sculptures. When they started taking all the sculptures down, they didn't want to get rid of the cars, so they moved it to like the other end of the lot. And then I think eventually they did end up taking it down. But
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. But oh,
Yeah,
and hello. Oh, you beat me to it. Hi, Samuel Proctor.
Yes. Yeah, it's like we have a lot of iconic things around Illinois. Like in Chicago, there's a lot of different, I guess you call them sculptures that, are iconic. I think there's ugly as all get out. Like the bean. Like what the flip is the bean?
Yeah, right.
It's this big misshapen silver thing. And it's like, okay, I've seen it. I'm not impressed.
There is another, and this is the one I wish that I could suggest to more people. Out here in Gurnee, there is a landmark called the Pyramid House. It's a private house, though. They used to do regular tours, and they don't anymore, and it's too bad. It literally is a house in the shape of a giant pyramid, and they had this really cool gift shop where you could buy all this Egyptian and pyramid themed stuff, and it was really, really neat. But now it's the kind of thing, just look it up online and see if you can see pictures. They don't do tours anymore.
And I want to thank Lady Myst for dropping all the links.
Yes, she is so awesome. Make sure everybody, you guys are all probably already subscribed to each other, but you know what? Take the time to go ahead and check and make sure that you're subscribed to everybody. Hit the notification bell. Make sure you encourage each other. What is it PJ says? Together we grow.
Yep.
He's so right.
So let's get into this.
Okay. I have to ask first question. SciFi Mombie, how did you come up with the name? How did you start your channel? Like what started all this and got you interested in having a channel and well, of course
it started with my sister Big Red. We had a podcast and we both have a sleep disorder. So we just call ourselves Mombies because we're moms and we always feel like zombies.
Oh my gosh, I did not make that connection. That's brilliant.
I love that.
For me, it's kind of a threefold. Like that's the first part. The second part is Carrie Fisher. Billy Lord called her Mombie.
Oh, okay.
Her whole life. And then the third part is there's Mombie in the Wizard of Oz books.
Oh.
That's right.
Oh, that's
yeah.
Right.
So it's kind of a threefold thing. And when the first podcast, we ended it because time constraints and just couldn't get together. I just picked it up and kept moving. And I love sci-fi, as you all know.
Yeah, exactly.
Y'all haven't figured it out. Look at my avatar. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm just the sci-fi Mombie. That's what I am.
I love that.
That's awesome. And how long have you been?
I'm glad I got to be a part of this too, because with the original podcast, I was never allowed to be on it.
Well, it was because it was a sister thing, and yeah, we'll just leave it there.
No, yeah, I get that. I absolutely get that. But I'll tell you what, it's pretty darn awesome when you can share a show with somebody in the house with you. I mean, my parents, for example, were all the time I was growing up, I saw nothing that they had in common. I had absolutely no idea what they were doing together. And by the time I was 16, they weren't together anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
I always said, without getting too much into my own mess and my relationship with my father, I had just decided that the secret to my success was going to be to do everything the exact opposite, the way I thought my father would do it. So I said, when I get married, I'm going to make sure that we always spend time together. We're always doing things together, that we grow together rather than growing apart,
Mm-hmm.
And I, somewhere along the way realized, well, that's kind of the definition of family, isn't it? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
not just a
That's
married
true.
couple, but just a family in general. So that's good. That is really good. And
Now, I have pinned SciFi Mombie's channel to the top of the chat, the link that Lady Myst so wonderfully
We
dropped for us.
Yep.
So
we
please make sure that
finally
you
cracked 120.
There you go.
Yeah, it's
we
like
sat
you know,
we sat for over a year, like under 50, and we kept cranking out content. And then I met Admiral Teague and
Yeah.
Dark Helmet, and of course PJ and Maria, and they really helped push us into streaming. And we're building, we're getting there.
yeah, I know that's like I sat for the longest time around 3:30, and then I changed my avatar, so it's the one you're seeing right now.
That helped.
Mhm.
Yep.
And I started getting all these guys from India subbing to me.
Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you, there's a lot of advice, and you're in good company here. I mean, PJ, Maria, Deleted Scenes gave us some advice. I mean, great advice, all of them.
Absolutely.
Just, in fact, I was listening to I think it was Culture Casino and Valiant Renegade were talking, and they were saying that the thing about YouTube that's different from like terrestrial television and stuff like that. Terrestrial television, the channels, the networks were always competing for time slots, competing for viewership and so forth. That's not really the way it is with YouTubers. When you have a community of YouTubers, you're kind of working together. I mean, not to belabor it, but together we grow and so forth. I have a show on the same time as someone else. That's okay. You pick the one you want to watch live, and then you can always catch it, the other one, afterwards. You just do the rewind kind of a thing. And if I'm going to be ending and I know somebody else is just starting up, or I'm going to be overlapping a little, send everybody over there, And
Yeah, it's like Netter's Network Raid or
yeah,
Last Call with
exactly,
Troy
that kind of a
Pacelli Raid
thing.
or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that is a big part of it. So I guess what it comes down to is what we used to call in the business world networking. I'm not sure. I think that's taken on a whole different meaning these days, but it used to be you just build relationships with other people and, seek out advice and just say, hey, how did you do this? How did you do that? How did you get to where you were? Or to where you are and so forth. And
that's one of the reasons I started Thursday Things, because it's like there are a lot of smaller YouTubers out there that are struggling to grow their channel, or maybe no one really knows about them. Let's get them on my channel. I've got a pretty good base of people that come to watch my different shows, because I've got Thursday Things, and then I have every other week with Big Al Presents, where we do the movie rewatches. So it's like, we have a lot of really great people that come that may not know you, and then they're going to listen to, you talk about your channel and about yourself. And they're going to be like, I need to sub to that person and see some more of their content. And then you get more subs that way. And then you start growing. And then they tell people about you, and they start listening to, to your shows and all that. And they sub to you, and so on and so on. It's like the commercial way back in the day where it was like, you tell two friends, and they tell two friends, and they tell two friends, and so on and so on.
And so on. Yeah.
we're kind of dating ourselves here, aren't we? But
well, I'm a Gen Xer, so I will
yeah,
definitely let it out. Yeah.
Same here. So you mentioned the previous podcast. How long ago was that, and how long did that go for?
It started in September of 22, and unfortunately it lasted about a month.
Oh, okay.
It takes a lot to put on a podcast, and
Yeah, it does.
especially when you need your partner to do the content or, brainstorm, and they're just pulled in so many different directions. So, and honestly, since I've started the podcast, I'm still doing it all.
Yeah.
Yes, Vic, I'm looking at you.
I will start doing my own content soon.
Yeah, he's gonna pick up our Twitch, and he's gonna start doing some gaming. And
Sure.
I have a producer. She's just lazy.
There you go.
I'll tell you what, Vic. Once you get your channel up and going, let me know, and I'll have you here on Thursday Things as a guest.
Yeah, we'll get you. We'll get the.
You'll have
get
your
the word
offshoot
out and
channel.
everything.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I just
I'll
lost
start
my
a solo career.
And that was the whole reason I also started this channel, was I wanted the kids to have that experience
Yeah.
and that networking ability. And I've had some people tell me, well, it doesn't look good on their resumes for them to put podcaster. I'm going, I beg to differ.
Yeah, this is something that I'm starting to notice, and maybe I'm giving myself way too much credit, but I think maybe I'm a little bit more adaptable than I might have thought I was. But I'm Gen Xer, older Gen Xer, and I've seen enough change in my life to know that you kind of need to be prepared for the next change, right? And it's not just the kids that are getting into the podcasting and the YouTubing and the whatnot. Big companies right now are struggling to figure out how to do it. Now the problem that they're getting into is they are looking to people that are way too young and way too inexperienced, saying, "Hey, help us out with this social media stuff so we can market that way." And there's a sweet spot in the middle. People that understand marketing and business, but are also, I don't want to say young enough, but hip enough, or whatever you want to call it, to understand the emerging technology. And the people that embrace both sides of that coin are the ones that are going to do better going forward. Absolutely believe that. And I mean, yeah, maybe, none of us here are going to be the next Mr. Beast, but we are definitely, I've never even seen a
I don't even think I want to be the next.
I'll just say his chocolate bars are really good.
Okay, I didn't know he made chocolate.
He's got a whole line of food and hamburgers, and he's cornered the market on a lot of things.
Speaking of chocolate, though, I wish that somebody would have been smart enough to reestablish the Wonka brand to go along with this recent movie, for crying out loud. I used to love those Wonka bars. Do you remember those?
Yes, and I love them. And Ferrero bought them out. I don't know why they just didn't.
I think they did those hat gummies, though.
Yeah, that's not.
Yeah,
Wonka.
Wonka is synonymous with chocolate. I mean,
They unfortunately went to the whole. They combined it with, because there was a couple acquisitions they got about the same time, so they ended up getting like Laffy Taffy and Nerds and all that kind of stuff. And look,
Gobstoppers, yeah.
And I'm like, I get that. That makes sense. Put your candies together. It can all be Wonka. There's nothing wrong with that. But keep the chocolate going. Now.
That's one thing I miss about not having Wonka anymore. In like movie theaters, they used to have those machines where you could get Wonka candy.
Nice. Yeah, we used to I think was it Walgreen or something like that. Whatever the drugstore was by us used to carry Wonka bars. Now, what's great about Wonka bars? They're just basically chocolate bars, but whereas some chocolate bars put like the Rice Krispies in there, like Nestle. What is Nestle?
Nestle
The Crunch Bar?
Nestle Crunch, yeah, like the Crunch bars or whatever. What Wonka did was they had little bits of graham cracker in there, and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty cool. It makes it different.
Unfortunately, I never got to try a Wonka bar.
Yeah, they kind of disappeared around here. Yeah.
Well, because it was like a limited time thing, and they had it for a while and it was gone. Then they brought it back again, and it's like they never paired it up with, a promotion like they should have. That kind of synergy. It goes all the way back to the very beginning, back when the Gene Wilder film came out. Quaker Oats started the whole Wonka candy brand, and they had planned to release all these chocolate bars with the movie. The problem was they didn't know what they were doing. They were an oats company. They weren't a chocolatier. And so the chocolates they made did not set up right. And when they shipped out, they all melted. And it was just it was just a huge failure. And
a huge mess.
Yeah. So they sold off their candy division, and they're like, never again. And in fact, the Wonka film didn't do that good when it was originally released. It was one of those ones that ended up doing really, really well on home video and cable, and later on.
I was gonna say, my oldest son, he'll be 24. He had that on DVD, and I swear, I think I watched it like all the time when he was a kid. Yeah. And when the Johnny Depp movie came out, we were like the first ones in the theaters. He had to see that movie. He loves it. Did he go with us to see Wonka?
I think so, yeah.
He loved that.
But I think it was something to do with turning the book into a musical.
Yeah.
That didn't really sit well.
And I was kind of surprised that Warner Brothers didn't market that as a musical.
Yeah.
I think it would have went over better, because I think America wants musicals. Look at Barbie.
I feel like that's what kind of happened with the new Mean Girls.
Yeah.
They didn't market it as a musical, but when it came out and it was a musical,
everybody's loving it. Yeah.
But it just wasn't what people were looking for.
Well, this Timothée Chalamet film must have done well enough, because they're already talking sequel. I'm not sure how that's going to work. A sequel that takes place between that movie and
or maybe just another remake of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory
again. Well, they haven't done the glass. Have they done the glass elevator?
Yeah, they combined it in both versions.
Oh, okay.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, they. No, the Great Glass Elevator, there was a whole lot more there. They go into space and it deals with I don't know. They'd have to really change some things up, because there's
the glass elevator was there in both versions, but it wasn't the same.
Well, it wasn't there was a sequel book to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory called Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator. And there's this whole story that goes on after that, and it involves meeting the president of the United States. So I'd be a little concerned how they would manage that in 2024. It also depends
on
when they're setting it.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I will say, though, I've seen some of the movies of the Roald Dahl books, but I've never read the books.
Oh, you should.
I know.
Are you serious?
They're very different. Very different from any of the.
They're so good.
like people will say that the Johnny Depp Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is closer to the book than the Gene Wilder. And while for the most part that's true, the characterization and especially the addition of the background with the father, that's completely fabricated. And it's like, no, just it bugs me when they say, "Oh, now we're going to be accurate to the book," and then they do something completely different. I had the same problem with Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I'm like, oh, this is so exactly just like and then you get to the end and it's like, kills the wife, and then it's the wife that he turns into the bride and everything. And it's like, no, you were doing so well. Same thing with Bram Stoker's Dracula. They're going to do it. They called it Bram Stoker's Dracula. And then they put in this whole thing about a reincarnated love story. And I'm like, what is this?
That is not the original book.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, that kind of stuff bothers me. And
it's like we got into a debate the other day about the Twilight movies, and I said, if it's not Nosferatu, I don't care.
Well, yeah, there is that.
Apparently, Nosferatu is a SpongeBob character now.
Oh, come.
No,
really? Like an official SpongeBob character.
You're hilarious.
But yeah. So yeah, I'm a huge. I mean, I could totally go off on a complete tangent about the Gene Wilder film. I know so much trivia about that. That and Wizard of Oz. I know crazy,
two of my favorite movies. Yeah,
crazy amounts of trivia about those movies. It's just, but yeah. So I do see that you do run the gambit of sci-fi and fantasy. That's
horror.
Thing. And horror.
Yeah, the kids got me. We started It's Your Turn to Scream with SciFi Mombie horror series during Halloween.
And it was inspired by the line from Scream 3.
Yeah.
And we started with the Scream franchise. That's always been one of my favorite horror movies ever. So
it's very generational, because that's where I started with horror, and it wasn't Nightmare on Elm Street. It wasn't Friday the 13th. My first horror was Scream. So it was kind of nice. And then I like the supernatural, paranormal,
like Paranormal Activity
and The Conjuring and Annabelle.
Ouch.
Yeah. And then they made me watch Saw.
Oh yeah, just torture.
Yeah. No.
The first two were pretty good though, because they had more than just that.
Yeah.
The thing about Paranormal Activity,
besides it creeping you the heck out,
it did creep me the heck out. What I hate about horror movies is when they become a little too real. They kind of seep into real life. So you have this whole element of Paranormal Activity where part of
you mean like Halloween 3?
Oh,
well, there's that. Yeah.
I hate that movie.
I love that movie, but it's the kind of thing that I love it because of what it was meant to have been as a franchise. The whole anthology concept. I don't like that they continued the whole Michael Myers story. That's the problem with that.
The whole reason I don't like that movie is my uncle, God rest his soul, whenever I would come over to spend the night at his house, he'd play that dang movie. And of course, he had to highlight the part where the guy gets decapitated.
Oh, I don't even think much about that scene.
It's strange though,
and it was always weird that I would go spend the night over there, and I'm a huge, I don't like thunderstorms, and he would definitely play it, and a big old thunderstorm would come through like that night, and I'm like,
I think the weird part about Halloween 3 is that in that movie, the first one is just a movie in that movie.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. What drives Netter crazy is every time we get around Halloween, there aren't a lot of Halloween songs. So every now and again, happy Halloween. And she's like, stop or I will divorce you. And I kind of can't blame her. But what I was going to say about Paranormal Activity is part of the scare is this, all the stuff that you see in camera as an audience that the main characters are completely unaware of. They're in bed asleep, and in the room in the back, a light goes on. that's the kind of thing that, you could just, it just freaks you the heck out, right? Well, another scene that kind of recurs a couple times, the guy is in bed, his wife gets up, and she's standing at the foot of the bed. Oh, yeah. Right? And they have this whole thing where
she gets possessed.
Yeah, exactly. And they have this whole convention where, for time, they show the thing as time passes quickly, and she's standing there for like 3 hours, just kind of, moving around. Swaying back and forth. Well, we watch this movie late at night before we go to bed, right?
The worst time to watch it.
Exactly. We get it. No, it gets worse because I'm in bed and I'm on the side of the bed that's closest to the door. So Nanette has to get up and go around the bed to go to the bathroom. Well, I wake up because she has gotten up and come back into the room, and she stops at the foot of the bed, and I can't tell which way she's facing, but I see her swaying like that, and I'm like, what the hell are you doing? She's like, what? I'm just rubbing my eye. And I'm like,
no, you're not.
And she's like, oh, and she thought that was...
She's possessed.
That is not funny.
That's insane. That's funny.
Another one of those horror film things happened.
I got to tell the Ring story.
I was at work, and he decided, I got an afternoon free.
No, I'll tell this story. Okay.
Yeah.
Netter was never really into...
Oh, boy.
Never really into horror stories, right?
See, I don't like slasher films. I don't mind the intriguey ones.
What she's basically saying is she's gotten to like horror movies more than she used to. She used to not like any horror movies.
That was me. That was me. I've actually gotten into... I actually kind of like some of them. Yeah, they're not... Like, I rewatched Texas Chainsaw Massacre with Appion.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, this is not as bad as I remember.
Well, it is a horror movie from the 70s, so...
It's still scary.
There you go. But, so I figured, she was working a part-time job. I said, I'll drop you at work. And I said, this is a great opportunity for me to pick up a couple horror movies and watch them, myself before I could even drop them off on the way back out together. And I picked up 2 movies. They were thematically related. One was The Ring.
Mm-hmm.
And for the life of me, I can't remember the name of the other one, but it was also about, a scary, haunted, like...
I thought it was The Grunge.
The Grudge?
It was not. It was some other movie about a videotape or something like that.
A scary movie.
It was terrible. No, it was just terrible. It was not scary. It was not funny. It was just...
It was Scary Movie 3.
It was just kind of boring. And I'm like, okay, enough of this. I turned that off. Now, these are DVDs, right? I mean, the movies are about VHS tapes, but of course I'm watching them on DVD. So
that's scary enough to know that things used to be on tape. No,
right, exactly. Now, I don't know if you guys saw The Ring on DVD, but it's pertinent to the story. You put the DVD in, and you get to the menu, and you see the regular things like play the movie and this, that, and the other. And there's one entry that says, don't press here. And I'm like,
oh no.
Well, I'm going to do this, right? so I now the other establishing thing is it's about 4 or 5 in the afternoon, but it would be starting, the sun would start going down at about 6 o'clock or so. So it's still fairly daylight out. I'm of course I click here where it says don't click here. And what it was really weird. I think this was their way of doing kind of clever DVD extras, along with what they did was there was just random scenes that weren't actually in the movie, but like Naomi Watts driving down the street, some other scenes that were just completely unrelated. And it was interspersed with those weird scenes that you see when they play the videotape, you know, the thumb and the nail and the fly and the picture and the mirror and, you know, all that weirdness, right? And it's just completely out of context. It's kind of freaking me out. I'm like, this is the weirdest damn thing, you know? And when it ends, it just goes black.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there watching a black screen. And I'm like, did the DVD freeze up on me or something? But no, I can see the counter still going. And it's going and going and going. And it's silent and black. And the suspense is building and building. I'm like, screw this. I don't want a jump scare. I don't want to see what comes next. Just play the damn movie. So I go and I start playing the movie, right? Premise for those of you that don't know, you know, about this, what is it, 20-year-old movie. These people watch a videotape, and immediately after watching the videotape, they get a phone call, and some eerie voice says, you know, in 7 days you're going to die or whatever. And sure enough, in 7 days they die. So I'm sitting there watching this movie, and we get the premise and we see what happens, and it gets to the point where the boyfriend watches the videotape, right? Just as soon as he finishes watching the videotape, my mobile rings. And I thought my mobile was off. It rings, and I'm like, holy crap. Press pause, pick up the phone. Hello? And it's Netta. She's like, it's me. I just want to let you know I'll be getting off at such and such time, you know. Okay, I'll be there. No problem. Bye. Hang up the phone. Turn the ringer down. Okay, I'll start watching this again. Then there's that whole scene in the movie where, you know, you get these, they're ratcheting up the tension. One of the scenes from the videos, you know, this is also from the American version, not the Japanese version. They had to go into the whole origin of where the ghost girl comes from and her backstory and stuff. So this image of the tree and the sun going down, you know, is relevant. And I look out the window and there's a tree outside and I see the sun going down behind it. I'm like, oh, for crying out loud. Then it's, you know, again,
it was really warning you.
What was that?
It was warning you.
Exactly. That's how it felt. And then it's getting a little creepy again. All of a sudden, I get a knock at the door. Pause the movie. Now, the reason that's scary is we were living in an apartment at the time, in a secure building. If someone had rung the bell, the buzzer, it would have startled me, but it wouldn't scare me. A knock at the door, you don't expect that.
In a secure building.
And I'm like, I start to go to the door, and I was going to look through the little people, and then I decided, I don't think I want to look through the people. Hello, who is it? Oh, yeah, hi, this is so-and-so, I'm your upstairs neighbor. I was wondering if you had the landlord's phone number. Oh, yeah, well, I don't, but my wife does. Let me see if I could get her on the phone. He goes, yeah, I'm a little concerned because I smell gas in the apartment. I'm like, you know what? I'm leaving. I'm going where she's at right now, and I'll get that number for you. We'll make a call. I'm getting out of here. I'm like, I'm done. And I'm like, I'm going to finish watching the rest of this movie when Netter's here. That's it. I'm done. Okay, long story, but that was my...
And of course, I get home, and he puts on the movie, and I'm like, what is this? It's boring.
Yeah, because it's not scary anymore. She didn't have all the 4D experience I did with this damn thing. I don't get that way with horror movies, but when it bleeds into real life, I get a little creeped out.
Exactly.
I'll tell you. But anyway, so yes, I have come to like horror movies too. So we should probably, maybe not tonight, but some other night, we'll have to talk horror movies. That ought to be a lot of fun. Yeah. But yeah, and even Netta, there's some movies we've kind of gotten her into and whatnot.
I just won't do slasher movies. I don't like them.
Well, I don't either. I don't like that blood and gore and you know, that's a that's a person with a life, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I am getting to the
Scream is my
point.
only exception.
Oh, come on.
I am
Even
getting.
Scream bothers me.
It doesn't bother me.
I'll tell you what, Scream. What's great about Scream is its self-awareness. It purposely plays on all the horror tropes. You know,
Mhm.
the rules of the horror movie and all that kind of thing. And if you grew up in the 80s and 90s with those horror movies, you know, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, all of those, you get exactly where it's coming from. It did start to become formulaic. So when you get to Scream, you're like, okay, this one is aware of the tropes, purposely, you know, undermining those tropes, turning them on their ears, and doing the whole unkillable, you know, murderer. But, well, sorry, I'm going to spoil another 20-year-old movie, guys, by it turning out that there was more than one killer and they were working together.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
Mhm.
wow.
Except for Scream 3, for some reason.
Yeah. I'm I have all of the Scream movies on DVD, but I haven't watched them all yet. Aged Boomer keeps telling me I need to, and I will. They're definitely on my list.
would like to own all of them on DVD.
I mean, yeah, you know, that's what I always say, own physical media, then you have it at your fingertip anytime you want. I recommend for you guys, if you haven't seen it, a movie called Behind the Mask. Have you seen that one?
No, not
I don't
yet.
think so.
May have to put that one on the list.
Mhm.
We've got a huge list.
Yeah, here's the premise. And I gotta think through what I say because I don't want to spoil anything, but imagine if you know, Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, Jason, and whatnot. Imagine if they were real, okay? In a world where these were, you know, serial killers that were known to the world as being real, not movies. And a journalist, an independent journalist, got an opportunity to take a film crew and interview that serial killer. That's basically the premise behind this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's a character created for this movie, but you know, the same kind of thing. He even makes references to Michael Myers and so on and so forth, as though they are real individuals in this world. Definitely worth checking out. Behind the Mask. It's again, I don't want to ruin anything for you. It is, there's some trick ending to it that makes you go, okay, somebody really put some love and thought into this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't think we'd be talking so much about horror movies. I did think we'd be talking more about
Science fiction?
About science fiction and
now there's
and
my favorite
horror in
topic.
particular.
Now, see, my thing is, what is your favorite sci-fi program?
Oh boy. Okay,
Doctor Who.
that's yours.
I know that's mine.
Well, that's fine. I'm sure the
We love
question
Doctor
needs to
Who,
be posed to him too. Yeah.
Well, it started with me with Star Trek because my granddad would sit me in front of the TV because I spent so much time with them as a kid, and it seemed like Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan was always on HBO.
Yeah.
When I was like 4, 5, 6, and he was a huge Spock fan. So, you know,
Who knows? Maybe he scheduled it.
No, you couldn't schedule it back
no,
then.
I mean, like, he would schedule your visits around it.
Oh, to be on, yeah, that's
he
funny.
just pawned me off when Nana needed a break. But no, but then as I got older, I found out about the Star Trek books, and I started bringing them when we would go visit, and he's like, "What are you reading now?" And he didn't like The Next Generation. He was an originalist, you know, it was TOS or nothing. So I'd be reading Deep Space Nine books and Voyager books, and he's like, "Nah, that's garbage." And I'm like, "It's not garbage, it's Star Trek."
That's kind of like how I was. I like New Who more than Classic Who. I'll watch it, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's something about New Who. I grew up watching it.
That is, I've heard different people. I almost feel like old Who and New Who almost has the same kind of dichotomy as
Mm-hmm.
classic Trek and Next Gen.
Mm-hmm.
But I've liked it all, and I can honestly say that yes, because I have pretty much the complete Doctor Who collection, including the reconstructions of the missing episodes. The telesnaps
Mhm.
with the audio and stuff, which basically comes off like a PowerPoint presentation almost. But
I mean, there is also the animated ones.
I have all the ones that they've released as animated ones, which is great. I get rid of the loose cannon restorations when I can replace them with a released animated one. But yeah, Netter and I were going through and watching all of them, and she's like, yeah, some of these first and second Doctors are just really hard to get through.
Yes, they are. Yeah,
For-
I'm binge watching that myself. We deliberately got Brick Box on purpose
yeah,
because I've never seen them all, and I'm sitting there going,
yeah.
Especially because the Daleks is like the second story
Mm-hmm.
of Doctor Who, and it
Uh-huh.
just goes on for so long because they're serials.
Yes,
So it just keeps going and going.
you totally hit the nail on the head with that. That's what it was. It was serialized television, which was very, very different than the way television is done now. And that's one of the big appeals of current Who. You get in modern storytelling, this isn't exclusive to Doctor Who, but using it as the example, you'll get an overarching story for the season, but
Mhm.
you don't need to watch every episode to follow that overarching story. You usually just need to see the first and last episode, right?
Yeah.
In between, each individual episode stands on its own, even though there might be a chronological reference to other things, but it again doesn't matter. You could just watch the one episode and be fine. And occasionally there's a two-parter, so
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
those two you need to see. Whereas back in the day, you could have 6 to 8 episodes that were all
Mm-hmm.
part of one story. And you kind of, needed to see all of them to get that one story. And honestly, it's kind of what a lot of streaming services are doing now, taking a story
Mhm.
that should be a truncated 1 or 2 hours and trying to fill up 5-6 hours of story with it. And
Yeah.
that's the way it was on a lot of serialized TV back then. Definitely was true with all of the daytime dramas, so-called soap operas. I did watch some of those, so I kind of know. My mother used to say this too. She's like, my gosh, it's been years since I watched this show, and they're still on the same basic storyline. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much how these go. So yeah, that's probably the biggest difference. A lot of people like to say, well, crummy special effects and rubber monsters and stuff. You know what? No, I don't think that's the problem, because let's face it, some of the new Doctor Who had some
Mhm.
pretty goofy special effects and monsters too,
Yeah.
and that were
Mm-hmm.
But
kind
I
of
feel like
laughable. If the story is there, you could forgive a lot. You kind of don't care. You get the idea. But yeah, I'm with you on that, Vic.
Mhm.
Don't sweat that one too much. Although there did come a point where, as with so many of our favorite franchises, I hit a point with Doctor Who where I'm like, this isn't Doctor Who anymore. I'm done.
Yeah.
I
I
just
feel like especially when it came back with series 1 in 2005, it was
mm-hmm,
definitely a lot more episodic. There were hints of story throughout it, but
mm-hmm.
you could watch each almost each episode of series 1 on its own and be done.
Jesse says the might hate him for this, but the first sci-fi series I watched as a kid was Robotech, just the Macross chapter, because Cartoon Network weren't airing the next 2 generations for some reason. It's whatever you grow up with. That's the problem. See, this is the other thing too. I do see this for a lot of people, not just people in YouTube, but just in every area of fandom, that just, oh, you got to watch this. You're going to love it because I love it. And it's, and people, I think, forget that a lot of the things they grew up with and liked, it's not just because they were good shows. It's also all the memories that, surround those shows. I've picked up, DVD collections of things like Speed Racer, for example. And I loved it so much as a kid. I watch it now and I'm like, I remember these episodes. Not as good as I remember them. Well, that's because it was a little 8-year-old boy watching these shows, and they were identical every week and, just, minor differences. And now it's like, okay, I've watched 3 episodes. They were almost identical. I'm done.
What was it that I had you guys watch with me? And you guys looked at me and you said, "This is lame."
I don't know.
Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
My sister and I, that was every Saturday morning, CBS. You had to watch Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Yep.
And I love Paul Rubens. I loved his comedy. He was one of those, he was up there with Carol Burnett for me and Mel Brooks. But the kids looked at me. The kids looked at me and go, "This is lame."
I think I liked Pee-wee's Playhouse a bit more than the movies. I never really...
the movies.
Really? They're not bad movies, but I just never really like...
And God rest his soul.
Yeah.
I know, right?
I miss him. We're losing our legends. Like Richard Lewis just passed away yesterday.
We're going to be talking about him on Sunday on Geeky Geezers. Yeah, it's killer because I feel like we're losing all these talents. And what's so much more tragic is there's nobody coming and taking their place. The talent is either doesn't exist. I don't actually believe that. I think the talent isn't allowed to flourish. Hollywood and the entertainment industry have become like salted earth. There's plenty of great crops we could plant out there, but they won't take in this environment. And I do believe that the future of entertainment has to either be, these companies need to learn the valuable lesson by going out of business, or to avoid going out of business, changing what they're doing, or it's going to become independent creators.
And the other part of it is, it's kind of cyclical, and creativity always has to be there. So, we went from traveling acts like circuses to vaudeville. Yep. Vaudeville was traveling. Then we went to radio from vaudeville, and then we went from radio to television.
Yep.
And then movies were thrown in there. And now we're at the internet point. So are they paying attention to where you can reboot everything?
Right.
And Monday morning quarterback it all, right?
You should be able to, yes.
If you don't have a creative thought, how is it ever going to be good?
Here's something that I've pointed out. Never really thought about it in this particular way, but it does apply. I've pointed out to people, because I like to share about old TV shows. You mentioned Carol Burnett. Every year I do a watch party of the Star Wars Holiday Special. And this past year, and this past
year, it's so cheesy, it's good.
It is. And I said, there's a whole generation.
Isn't a large portion of it just like Wookiees talking?
It is, and that's what's terrible about it, because it's the worst of both worlds, right? It's not good Star Wars, and it's not good variety show. But this is what I gotta, kind of explain to the younger audience. Back in the 70s, just like today, how we have all these reality TV shows, and we had, what do you call, the what's that talent show where you know the hosts vote on you and the winner gets $1 million in a contract or whatever. All these
American Idol?
Yeah, like American Idol
or
and
Star
stuff
Search?
like that.
Was it Star Search?
Well, back in the 80s, yeah, it was Star Search. Now it's American Idol. You're right. These things, they're consistent. But there really isn't a reality TV show today that is comparable to those old variety shows of the 70s. So,
No, there's not. Yeah, you're right.
So
and it's been done to death as well.
Sure.
I mean, I used to work for a CBS Fox affiliate here. That's I have a degree in film and media.
Mm-hmm.
And I got my fill of reality TV when I left the industry in 2007. I was just at the point where I was like, okay, we've had enough Survivor.
Yes.
We've had enough. We've had enough Amazing Race, and it's still on. You know what I mean?
Exactly right. And I would tell people, you need to see some of these variety shows, because the whole idea behind the variety show, it's kind of genius when you think about it.
Exactly.
It was
exactly
a bit of everything to try to appeal to the whole family. So they'd have comedy, they'd have skits, they'd have music, they'd have whatever, and
laughing.
Laughing.
The Gong Show.
Isn't
that where The Simpsons started too?
No, that's Tracy Ullman.
Wow. Tracy Ullman, yeah.
But no, they rebooted The Gong Show with Mike Myers. And I
didn't know that.
Yeah, it's out there. And I was showing the kids, and I'm like, this is fantastic. I missed this show. And it barely got out of the first season.
Oh, that's too bad.
And I was like, man, this is great.
The thing about Laugh-In, and they even they used to say this in interviews too. The whole shtick was, do as many jokes as you can, as quickly, and cram them all in. If you scatter volley it, some of them will stick. And it's like, that's kind of true. Mm-hmm. You could have like 3, groaners, and then you get one that really has you laughing, Mm-hmm. And then they had you can't think about Rona Martin's Laugh-In without going a little Southern and thinking about Hee Haw.
Exactly.
Hee Haw was very much the same thing, with just a Southern, with Western music, country music. And
who's that?
Minnie Pearl.
No, the guy.
He had a stint here in Branson. Yes, what is his name? Roy.
Roy
Gorilla Man. Who was the host of Hee Haw?
Now I gotta look him
up. Gorilla Man's asleep.
Yeah, Netter's looking it up, but
yeah, he was here. He had a morning show.
Roy Clark.
Yeah, Roy Clark.
Buck Owens.
Right.
I was close.
Yeah, and Buck Owens.
And Buck Owens, absolutely.
Yes, but Roy had a variety show here in Branson on RFD TV before he passed away.
Oh wow,
and it was pretty interesting. Yeah.
So the idea of a variety show is a very, very 70s thing. And so this past year, not only did I do, the Star Wars Holiday Special, but I also did the segment of the Donnie and Marie show that was dedicated to Star Wars too. And it's kind of funny because, at the time, we didn't know Luke and Leia were brother and sister. So to have Donnie and Marie as brother and sister playing Luke and Leia, it's like, this is perfect. They had no idea.
That's awkward.
And the Saturday Night Live jokes that spawned off of that.
Yeah, exactly. That was in the 80s with, what was her name? Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I remember that one, the Christmas episode. Oh gosh, I was like, wow.
We're all going, what?
This was back when Saturday Night Live was actually funny. It's not anymore, but it was. That Julia Louis-Dreyfus era was probably the end of it. After that, it just kind of started going downhill. but or maybe I just got too old.
We like a whole bunch of things around the Sci-Fi Mombie house, like SNL and comedy specials. We love Dave Chappelle.
Oh gosh, that stuff. He's like a crazy genius. You know, it's like
Star Wars, Star Trek, Babylon 5, Stargate, horror movies. We kind of watch a lot of different things. Yeah.
So with your background in broadcasting, see if this theory that I have holds water in your opinion. I have oftentimes said that when because you were talking about, going from, vaudeville up to television and so forth, and all points in between. That's exactly the way entertainment was when TV became a thing. The mentality was we do shows on stage. So now when we do television, we're just broadcasting the same thing. That's why so many of the early sitcoms, you think about what do you call it? I Love Lucy and the Honeymooners and everything. It was literally done on single sets, and they'd put the camera in front of the set and it was like a stage play.
And they had tons of crew that was moving the scenery around, and it was so nostalgic and authentic. I grew up watching Nick at Night. That was my favorite.
Even when you started getting into like the days, like Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley, Three's Company, it was still following that same formula. They started even doing the whole film before a live studio audience, right?
I miss that. I miss that. I miss hearing the people. Like, that's why I love Saturday Night Live, because you can hear them laughing.
Yes. And the Carol Burnett Show, which was it wasn't really a variety show, it was a sketch show. Where it was a comedy sketch show, and there were, instead of having one show that was about the same characters every week, you'd have, new sketches each week, and a couple follow through, like Mama's Family and stuff, that would, be that would repeat. But it was still that same thing. You were watching it as though you were in the audience of the Carol Burnett Show.
Yeah, exactly.
Watching the stage. And she actually did, not only did they film it live before a studio audience, they actually did 2 tapings. So what we ended up seeing was oftentimes an edited version from different nights, or from, different performances, just depending on what they thought worked. And especially when you had Tim Conway and Harvey Korman, kind of improvising as they went, you got 2 very different cuts of the same sketch.
I loved it when they would all try to one up each other. Like, they had the running joke about the pink elephants between Carol and I loved it.
I was gonna say that. If you don't, you've got to look up what is it, Tim Conway elephant sketch from just look it up. It's on YouTube.
Because she would deliver, like, if they were having a really bad day and she just really wanted to gig them, she would start doing it in a skit that wasn't even related. It's hilarious. Roku has a Carol Burnett channel.
Oh, really? Okay.
And you could see it. Like, they try to play them in order, but they don't. And it hops around. It's just priceless.
I mean, and so many of the jokes are so funny, not just because the joke itself is funny, but seeing the cast trying not to fall apart. Like that whole bit where from the Gone with the Wind thing, where
I love that skit.
Harvey Korman turns to look up and she's got the curtains and the curtain rods sticking out of her shoulders.
So Vic's looking at me. Yeah. Vic's looking at me like, Mom, what the heck are you talking about? So Carol, have you seen Gone with the Wind? There's a scene where she rips down the drapes and makes a dress out of it. It's like the green velvet dress. Well, Carol Burnett comes out as a joke, but she doesn't really like make it a whole dress. She's like wearing the curtain rod, and the curtains
Yeah,
are still,
exactly.
and it's like wrapped around her with a tie. It's hilarious. You've got to
That
watch
is,
it.
and they did a similar sketch with Mary Poppins,
Mhm.
and I mean the classic one is Tim Conway and Harvey Korman at the dentist. The dentist sketch. See, you knew exactly what I was gonna say.
I love that one too.
Oh gosh, and it's improv through the whole thing. I mean, they have their lines, they had it all planned out,
and
but
they try not to laugh.
Oh
and then
my
you see them
gosh.
kind of turning away because you can see their whole body shaking from the laughter.
Mhm.
And it's too funny.
Maybe that's the thing that, you know, as much as I love the Star Wars holiday special, I think that's the thing that's missing the most from the Harvey Korman bits. It's like, I wish that Tim Conway had been here too. It would have been so much better, you know? But
I think that's what I like about Saturday Night Live is that, especially this last Saturday, they had each other laughing, and you know, they try not to break character. They try so hard. It's really funny when Kenan Thompson does it, because he's such a veteran of the show. He's the longest running cast member, and they can still get him rolling. It's pretty funny. I like it when Adele's on. Adele cannot handle herself.
I think that's what makes it funnier when they start breaking character and start laughing at each other.
Yeah.
JPRPH1 reminded me of Mr. Tudball and Mrs. Wiggins.
Yes.
I had forgotten about that. Mrs. Wiggins, could you come in here, please? Now? Yes, right now, please. She gets up, starts shuffling along. Oh, watch out for the sonic kaboom.
That's funny. So such great television, and I miss a lot of that. And the one that I can closely kind of relate that to, actually two shows, The Neighborhood with Cedric the Entertainer, and Bob Hart's Abishola. Those are the two shows that I can, on CBS, that I could kind of relate to, the slapstick comedy with the heartfelt meaning, you know?
Yeah. And I feel like, and I think there's a lot of comedians talking about this too. I don't think I'm off the mark. People in the industry are even saying this too, that now part of what makes comedy great is the spontaneity and just being wrong. You almost can't be funny unless you take a risk and unless you possibly offend. Now, I never found overly intentionally offensive humor to be, you know, that funny. Don Rickles. I was never a big Don Rickles fan, for example. But sometimes it's a good thing to take things that are sensitive and laugh about them. And we live in an age where we can't do that anymore. People literally are going out of their way to find reasons to be offended by what people say. So you end up with the most bland, just so that people don't get offended. Well, that's great. Nobody's offended, but also nobody's laughing either.
Yeah.
But there we go.
But I do have to agree that the shows back in the day were some of the best. The ones I have now, nope.
And there is not, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but as I think back on Carol Burnett and all these others. Now, when I did do the watch party for Donnie and Marie, I really did kind of have to take the time to explain as we were going some of the jokes, because they were about, you know, 1970s politicians or something like that, or some current event that people wouldn't know about today, or, you know, whatever. But I think most of those shows, they're pretty timeless. They kind of stand up. Carol Burnett especially. Yeah, it helps if you saw Gone with the Wind before that sketch,
which I had, and I just knew the famous line.
But honestly, if you didn't, it was still pretty funny. You may not You may not get why she's wearing the drapes and she's got the curtain rod going across her shoulders, but it's still funny as heck. And let's face it, what you were really laughing at was Harvey Korman trying not to laugh.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, but anyway, boy, we've been all over entertainment, haven't we, tonight?
And I think that's why I really love the Orville, because not only is there the funniness of Seth's writing, but we also get trying to get us to independently think about things, not giving us exactly, not giving us, hey, you're going to think this way, and no, that's not what the Orville is at all.
I think, and I've heard a lot of people say this, that modern Trek and all these other things are telling you what to think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's strictly true. I think what it really is that the entertainment industry has become so insular and so much in its own bubble,
Yeah, they're not
chamber.
listening to the fans at all.
They really believe that everyone in the world thinks the way they do.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not telling you what to think. They're assuming you think like them already. I think that's what it really is. And anyone who doesn't is an apostate, is evil, is wrong, not realizing it's literally their entire audience that they're treating that way. That's what we have seen, and now we're seeing the fruits of that as Disney has lost more than 40% of its market share, and some of these Paramount is now teetering on bankruptcy.
So is Warner Brothers, if they don't get their act together. I mean, the studios are hurting, and they don't realize that they're losing their fan bases. And
the best thing,
some of us sit there and go, do they actually really care about us, or they just want money?
Actually, I've said this many times. I don't care if they care about us. If they like money, that's good too, because the two go hand in hand. If they want my money, they will give me what I want. That's how business works. So whether you care about me or you care about my money, either way doesn't matter. It comes out the same for me, But right now, money has not been the driving factor, and they're starting to realize that, you know what? It better be, or they won't be around to push their messages anymore.
Like, I've seen some amazing Star Wars fan fiction. That's much better than what Disney's putting out.
It's sad because it used to be that the fan fiction was the, Mary Sue type characters and, just eye rolling. Oh my gosh, fantasy fulfillment type stuff.
And like the days when they would allow fans to submit scripts without an agent. That's something I'm kind of running into with my own. I write Orville fan fiction, and I'm having trouble finding an agent.
And I think that Orville's having a hard time finding a network. That's the other problem.
Here's what I say to Disney: let it go, because we all know that Seth has that humongous contract with Universal, and it would just be better made there. When all other studios told him no on Ted, Universal said, come to us.
I think this is going back to what we were talking about, the change in the industry, where I just feel like the Orville has gotten kind of caught up in the shifting industry between streaming and network television and everything else. And then, not to mention all the other stuff, the pandemic and the strikes and everything, all of these things.
And it's so good.
Yeah,
it's
I know.
So good.
I honestly believe, and this might be a bittersweet pill, but I think that the Orville is going to end up being like Star Trek in that, remember, we only got 3 seasons of the original series,
Don't say that.
And then but wait a minute. And then it went, I don't know, decades, to almost 2 decades, and then it got a revising, right? And it came back, and we got the big explosion of Next Generation and Deep Space Nine and Voyager and all that kind of stuff. I think once we get through whatever these shifts in the industry are,
Mm-hmm.
I think Orville's going to come back with, I don't know, Orville the Next Generation or something, and
I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing like a Union Point spinoff
yeah,
or Kelly getting her own ship spinoff.
absolutely.
I just don't want to see a movie. I just don't want to see a movie.
Yeah,
I know that's the worst thing to say, but
no,
we already get enough of like 90-minute movies
no, you're
with the
absolutely
Orville
right.
now. The other problem I have with the Orville is Seth needs to delegate and let some other people write.
Well, yeah, there's that too. This kind of takes us back to learning from the past, right? The
Mm-hmm.
streaming model needed to learn from the cable model. The
Mm-hmm.
cable model needed to learn from the network model. Nothing really changes. These last series of strikes that we just had
Mm-hmm.
about AI and
Oh.
streaming residuals and all this kind of stuff, none of that is any different than what was
Mm-hmm.
fought over by originally the syndication concept came
Yep.
out of the lawsuit with the actors in Gilligan's Island
Mm-hmm.
suing for residual rights for repeated shows. That's where syndication came from, and residual checks. And then the whole idea of you get money for your face on an action figure or on a lunchbox, that comes from the Happy Days people suing
Mm-hmm.
the networks.
Well, and
Why?
you can't forget about Leonard Nimoy's big beef with Paramount because he refused to come back for what was it, Star Trek 2 or 3
Right.
until they paid him what he was owed.
Right. And so we're fighting all the same battles now. Now it's just, the people in the industry, fighting over residuals for streaming. And it's
Mhm.
like, again, you're right. They haven't learned anything new. Now they're starting to talk about how the streaming services are collapsing because, people want to watch one show on one channel. So they subscribe for a month, watch the show, and then drop it. And then they go watch another one. And none of these streaming services are able to catch a break, and they're dying. So I
Mhm.
said, it's going to happen the same way cable did. They're going to start bundling. It's going to be probably Netflix and maybe Hulu if Disney is smart enough.
I was
Will
gonna say we just bundled what was it, Netflix and Stars together,
yeah,
and of course we get the Disney bundle.
yeah.
But we had Hulu Live there for a while, and we had Max on it, and I mean Verizon
They're
does that
just
Play Plus thing.
they're just starting to do it though. It's gonna have to
Mhm.
get to the point where you get like 2 or 3, companies that bundle material
And
from
it's
all the others.
smart. It's
Sony
kind
is
of
gonna
smart.
Sony, you notice, has not gotten into streaming. They were the
Mhm.
smart ones. They'll license it out to all the other ones,
Mhm.
and they have no overhead, and they're just sitting back
Speak
and
about a franchise that doesn't need any, I call it goosing, is Ghostbusters.
oh, absolutely.
And
There's
they've
another
been
great.
Sony's franchise for a very and Columbia Pictures franchise for a very long time.
That's
Yeah,
another.
it
Oh
had
yeah,
a
go ahead.
drought. It had a
Yep,
drought, just like a lot of them do, but it's hung in there because everybody has bought it on DVD or they watch it streaming.
yep. And when they went down a bad path, they took their lesson and they straightened it out because I really credit it mostly to Dan Aykroyd. He was the one who was like, we
Mhm.
told them and they didn't listen and we were right. And let me tell you, we won't be working with them again. And
Mhm.
I could hear this would be like if George Lucas had in some way been able to do that with Disney and said, yeah, you didn't use my scripts. Yeah, but well, they bought it out of hand. This was
Well,
a
and
different situation.
Another part of the whole Star Wars problem is Lucas from the beginning said the books are canon.
Yeah.
He said it.
Yeah.
And what J.J. Abrams did to Timothy Zahn
Yeah.
is, and Kevin Anderson, sorry.
Kevin Anderson, yeah.
I just want to kick somebody, you know what I mean?
I know.
You're just like, no. Ben is Luke's son.
Yep.
With Mara Jade, and Rey is Janice Solo.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And Kylo would be Darth Caden, I think, is who he became. Jason.
Yeah.
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 Let's make it even worse, right? You start out with Dingbat KK. Well, it's not like so many other things. We don't have 1,000-page books to, base this on, and everyone's going, the hell you talking about? You absolutely did.
There's comics, there's books. Yeah. What?
Yeah.
Really?
But then what's even worse is that Disney had said from the beginning, we're decanonizing all of this stuff, but everything we put out from now on is canon. That's bullcrap. Mm-hmm. Because anyone paying attention to all this stuff knows they're not even paying attention to their own canon. It all conflicts. Mm-hmm. Which was not the case with the old EU from Lucasfilm.
The other problem is, and we see it with MCU, is the multiverse stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, we see it now with Star Trek. We see it now with, MCU. We see it with, is DC even branching out there? I mean, can't we just stick to the original storyline and keep it moving?
For as much as I rail against remakes, it's like, you know what? Maybe go back to the source material and just start churning it out. Mm-hmm. I mean, I am no fan of Zack Snyder, but at least when he did The Watchmen, he took it and treated it like the comic book was his storyboard. Mm-hmm. And he just told the story. And the only adaptations he did were ones that it didn't work in film. Sometimes what works in comic doesn't work in film, and I understand that. Simplified a few things, but by and large, it was spot on, and I was pretty impressed. To say the same thing about the 300. The 300 was very accurate to its source material. Mm-hmm. Problem is, you give him too much source material, and I'm talking about, Man of Steel and so forth. He takes a whole bunch of stories from many different eras, throws them in a food processor and hits what the crap, and, regurgitates what he did. And it's like, this is a mess.
I mean, that's why Stan Lee was around as long as he was.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he really railed against a lot of this stuff, and he wasn't wrong. He wasn't wrong.
But
I've noticed since his passing, though, they are branching out into all this stuff that he, if he was still around, it wouldn't be happening.
Well, I've pointed out that Stan Lee probably didn't have as much to do with the success of the movies as Jon Favreau did. Mm-hmm. And it was when Jon Favreau left, which happens to be right around the time of Stan Lee's passing. So could be a little bit of both, could just be coincidence. But the point is, it was not Kevin Feige. What we're getting now, that's Kevin Feige. But we've gone a little long.
That's fine.
Because this is what happens when you have such a great and interesting guest. You get excited and you get into some great conversations.
And I think it's so cool how you're into so many different things. So it's like,
and so many things that we are interested in too.
I mean,
I'm a nerd. I admit it.
No, that's part of why we love you. So I think what this means, we're going to have you back. Absolutely.
And And of course, as I mentioned earlier, I do have Sci-Fi Mombie's YouTube channel pinned to the top of the chat because the lovely Lady Myst had supplied that. So make sure you click on that link and you subscribe to Sci-Fi Mombie. Okay, right now
I'm seeing her at 121. That means she's only gotten one subscriber from us since we started the stream. So guys, make sure that you are subscribed to Sci-Fi Mombie.
Can we get
and we appreciate everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, can we get up to at least 4 more to get to 125? Come on. I currently have 15 people in the chat.
While you guys are right-clicking on that link and going and subscribing, we are going to ask the wrap-up question. Sci-Fi Mombie, what can we expect from your channel in the coming weeks? Do you have anything coming up in the very near future?
So we're currently working on our wellness series, and we're a little more than halfway through. Mm-hmm. What are we talking about Monday?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Sounds like me.
Our joke lately is, what episode are we on again? We are streaming through ALF. We're in season 1.
Don't tell Mexican Iron Man.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he likes ALF or doesn't?
He doesn't.
He doesn't like ALF?
Yeah.
Aww.
He's got a whole story about when he was a kid and kind of being tortured with ALF. And
that's a shame. Yeah,
but it's funny. People like to pick on him about it.
My sister, Big Red, carried around her ALF doll until it fell apart.
Yeah, my brother had one too.
Yeah. I have 2. One has a cardboard surfboard.
Yep.
Like attached to his hand.
Yep.
And the other one, I think, is he's wearing a chef's coat and hat.
Those were the little bit smaller ones. They came from, I want to say, like Burger King or something like that.
Wasn't it Hardee's?
I don't remember exactly.
Carl's Jr.
But
I know my sister had them all, like with the little Hawaiian shirt.
Yes, and they came with these cardboard records. They had lamination on one side. And I remember the song. I don't remember all of the songs, but I remember the one from The Surfer. It was those Melmac Girls. And it was kind of in the style of the Beach Boys.
And I would like to stream the new Babylon 5 animated movie. And then I would also like to move in. I haven't watched Battlestar Galactica. Ever
at all?
And I've really I'm almost done with Stargate. I think I'm like at the beginning of Atlantis. I made it through SG-1.
Do you have all of BSG on DVD or something?
No,
like that?
I'm trying to find them all. You can't. I'm having the hardest time finding them to buy digitally.
If you would like, depending on what night or day or whenever you want to do Battlestar Galactica, let me know.
He can Cosme you.
I could.
I love Cosme.
I would not mind, like co-hosting with you, and I would be happy
Cosme link,
to host it on Cosme. I have all of Battlestar Galactica on DVD. So
we got in on the ground floor.
Absolutely.
Sweet.
And
then after the wellness series, we're going back into our paranormal supernatural series. And I'm finally, I told Vic and Knight, I said, we're going to take that UAP report and we're going to dissect it and we're going to talk about it. So,
there we go.
And then I don't know.
Should also
go ahead, Vic.
I should also be starting my game stream soon on Twitch.
Cool.
There you go.
And then we don't know what we're going to do over the summer, but I know we're starting our It's Your Turn to Scream earlier this year because we ran out of time before the holiday season got here when we started doing holiday streams. But we're just happy that we got enough people to subscribe to us. We can stream because we were doing everything by Spotify, which for podcasters, which is going away.
Yeah.
And just posting everything up on YouTube. So Vic doesn't really care for it. but I like it.
I mean,
It's not that I don't care for live streaming. I just feel like it's very different from pre-recording because there's not as much room for error and messing up.
He also likes having the bloopers around.
Yeah.
No, I get that, but the fact is, you kind of get the best of both worlds. You can do pre-recorded stuff on YouTube, or you can live stream. You can kind of do both.
Okay, I'm interrupting here. We have SciFi
Yep.
Mombie at 128.
There you go.
Well, hold on. I'm going to be greedy here. Let's get her up to 130. Come on. With everyone that's in the chat, at least 2 of you still need to subscribe to get her up 2 more.
Let's give them the benefit of the doubt and say maybe they have all subscribed. Share out the stream, or share out her channel and tell everybody in your socials, hey, subscribe to SciFi Mombie.
Yeah,
great channel.
She's the crazy nut that keeps binging the Orville, and I think I'm on 23 now. 23 times.
But it's like,
and I find something new every time.
Yeah, this community is so amazing. I said we got you up to 128 subscribers, which is so awesome. But if
thank you guys,
there's anybody in the chat who has not subscribed to SciFi Mombie,
please do.
Her link is pinned to the top of the chat. I said I'm feeling a little greedy here. I want to get her up to 130. I mean, first I said 125, but now that we're almost at 130. Yeah. Come on, 2 more subs. That's all I'm asking for.
So share that out for us, guys. Maybe
show the love.
Maybe we can get some eyes on it in the very, very next few minutes. Great. And so that's what you've got coming up. So you guys are going to want to be subscribed and hit that notification bell for all those things she was just talking about. Tomorrow night over on my channel, we will be, you're talking about, health and fitness, and we kind of did last week too, a little bit with special guest James Hawthorne,
who was amazing.
Yeah, he was a lot of fun.
I still want to adopt him.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So tomorrow night we are going to be talking about what I consider to be probably one of the most important topics right now, and that's food autonomy. Having the choice of what foods you eat, what you put in your body, where it comes from. If you can't choose something that basic, then can you really say you have any freedom at all? We're going to be talking about big agriculture. We're going to be talking about government corruption. And we will definitely be talking about the Amos Miller case out of Pennsylvania. It is the spearhead for, honestly, those bad actors literally trying to take away your food autonomy and your freedoms. So that's what we will be talking about tomorrow night, 9 Central, 10 Eastern, on my channel for Last Call.
Yeah. And then on Saturday, over on Netter's not going to work again, so right back here again for Retro Cinema, we'll be watching Daredevil.
Ooh, good one.
And it's the theatrical release, isn't it?
Yes, it is the theatrical release.
So we will, of course, have the Cosme link pinned to the top of the chat, as usual.
So you can watch along with us.
So I hope you all join us for that. Anything else going on Saturday for, like, deleted or something?
If there is, I don't know about it for sure.
Sunday
is all deleted scene all the time.
Well, except for H Boomer.
Yeah. I would definitely recommend get over to Deleted Scenes channel and check it out, because I'm not sure. I think he said he didn't have an unscripted this week, but he's got a Western Cinema at 3 Central, 4 Eastern.
With Jedi
Bill. Aged Boomer and I will be on Aged Boomer's channel for Geeky Geezers at 8 Central, 9 Eastern. And then the other side of midnight, that's midnight Eastern, over on Deleted Scenes channel to round out our weekend. Tuesday, Netter, myself, Aged Boomer will be with Deleted Scenes on his channel, 7:30 Central, 9 Eastern, live from Sparkwood and 21 for the next episode of Twin Peaks.
Yep.
And that brings us around to next Thursday. Thursday things. Netter, what are we doing next week?
You know something? My little thing that I had up closed. So give me 1 second to open that up.
I mean, I would go to your channel, but you've got them planned out so far in advance.
Yes, I know. Give me 1 sec.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like for whatever reason my spreadsheet closed, which I keep everything on, and that makes me a little nuts when that happens. So next week, come on. Next week I will have on the Bosco scenario. So I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, there we go. The Bosco scenario.
Yeah.
Great.
Absolutely.
So that is the week in review, everyone.
And of course, I'm always looking for guests for Thursday things. I have March 28th open, so it's kind of like an odd slot because everything before that is taken, and then April 4th is taken. So it's kind of like one empty spot there. And April 11th and beyond, I have open. So if you are interested in being a guest on Netters Network Thursday things, there we go. I got it all out. You can send me a DM on Twitter, and that information is in the description below, along with my email address in case Twitter's being weird and won't let you DM me for whatever reason. I think we have to follow each other or something is what the rule is. But if you can't DM me, send me an email. Just make sure to put Thursday things in the subject line. And then the body of the email, let me know what Thursday you would like to be on, and I will get you in there.
Yep. That's all I got.
Okay. Well, y'all know what I always say. First, make sure that you are sub to every member of the panel, and make sure that you are sub to one another in the chat. And if you think you're sub, please go back and double check to make sure you're still sub, because YouTube sucks and likes taking those away. Yeah, they've done it many times to me and to lots of people. It's like constantly hearing about that. So please double check you are still subbed, everyone. I want to thank you amazing people who have gotten SciFi Mombie up to 128 subs. And actually, I think that is the most subs gotten on one of the Thursday Things shows.
Yeah.
Usually, I think before that, the most was like 4.
Yeah.
So you guys are so amazing.
That's great, guys. And like I said,
thank you so much.
Just share her out on your socials, and I know we'll get a couple more in over the next couple days or so.
Oh, I'm sure we will. So yeah, like Troy said, make sure you share this out. If you're not sub, please right click on that link that is pinned to the top of the chat, and please sub to SciFi Mombie. And of course, when Vic has his channel up and going, we will have him on as a guest, so we can get him all those subs as well. And with that said, we can talk amongst ourselves, and that's all well good and fun, but it is so much more fun when you guys are joining us in the chat and you're dropping your comments, questions, trivia, being goofy, whatever it may be. And it doesn't feel like we're separated by miles or continents in some cases. It feels like we're all hanging out in the same room. We're enjoying each other's company and having a great time. And you guys, you're not just our friends. You are our family. We love you guys, and we appreciate you so very much. You can be anywhere right now, and you chose to be here, and that is so encouraging. Thank you for being here every week. Thank you for encouraging not only us, but one another. You know, I said, you guys are so amazing. So thank you again for being here. God bless. Have a great rest of your week, and we will see you next time. Good night, everyone.